Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. I know we released last week our first episode of the year, but we're still in January, and I'm super excited to be in this year doing life with Tamara and with all of you. Um, the quote of the day is when you release expectations, you are free to enjoy things for what they are instead of what you think they should be. And that is from Mandy Hale. So today we wanted to touch on one is your why strong enough. We've had some conversation with people that's really made me and Tamara start questioning that part of it. Being open to different paths and different journeys and different doors that might pop open, and also being open to no expectations of whatever you've got going on in your life. I think uh, we get hurt when we set high expectations. Our standards or our expectations might be really high, and then when they don't happen, we beat ourselves up. We, create a lot of emotion around something that never had to be there in the first place. And Tamara, you've been feeling this so strongly lately, so I'm gonna let you jump in.
Yeah, 100%. So, Dev and I had a conversation the other day. I love picking words for my year. And every year they look completely different. This year I was like, what is my word going to be? And I was thinking so hard on it. And then I just let it go because I was driving myself insane that I couldn't come up with a word. And this really just teaches me about being intuitive and just listening to my heart because all of a sudden I was like, my word is open. I just want to be open to whatever this year has, whether it's not expectations, whether it's experiences, opportunities, whatever it is. Like I have goals set for the year. I know what I want. I have a vision. It's very clear, but I'm going at it completely different than I ever have before. Open to whatever door is going to come to me and with zero expectations because I've realized I have put so many expectations on myself, on situations, on outcomes, on other people, and it never turns out good. I'm not going to say it never turns out good, but most of the time it doesn't. Because when you set expectations, you have this view of how things are supposed to go. And when they don't go that way, you're either hurt, you're frustrated with that other person, you're upset at the situation, you start putting guilt on yourself, you feel like you're a failure, that you didn't do the thing that you were going to do. And that quote at the beginning that Dev shared, like, I just feel like that's what I was trying to express with having no expectations. When I first shared it, I kind of felt like maybe it was being taken as like, okay, well, Tamara just doesn't give a shit about 2021 because she has no expectations for how the year is going to go. But that's not it at all. It's like, I want to come at this year completely different and completely open. And it feels like that's where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's not uncommon, or I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all because uh, reading Awaken the Giant by Tony Robbins, he's very specific in there about just allowing your path to go where it goes. And we kind of talked about this, like sometimes there's doors that are open, and had you been like super streamlined to that one thing, it's almost like those horses that have like the shields on their eyes to keep them focused going straight, right? You miss out on that opportunity, and then you might never find out about what could have been of that opportunity, but maybe you do, and it's somewhere down the line you're like, shoot, I should have been more open to that. And so to clarify too, like what you're saying is there are goals that are in place, but the expectations, how can you, and here's a question, how can we expect something that we've never done?
Yes.
Like, how do you even go
Yeah.
to that place where you think, well, it should, because then right there is the ego saying, or the arrogance or whatever saying, well, it should go this way because I know. But you
Mhm.
actually don't. When you're on this path and you're just living life and you're going in the flow, you really don't know where that path's going to lead. You're on a journey right now that you've never been on.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I set so many big goals for my business with Beachbody last year with huge, high expectations that I had set for myself. I failed 90% of them because I was so dead set on it working out one specific way that I missed so many opportunities of how it could have gone better. And I know that because I've seen them after the fact. I probably missed a ton of them I don't even recognize. But this year, I have a goal. I know the actions I need to take. And if I show up doing those actions every single day and I find joy in them and I'm consistent, I don't have to have an expectation of how it's going to turn out because I know it's going to turn out exactly as it's supposed to
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just showing up in that flow. And that probably sounds crazy to some people, that I wouldn't have a step-by-step plan and know exactly how I'm going to execute this goal that I have. But I want to show up differently this year because that is how I've showed up in the years prior. And it didn't work for me. So, new year, new opportunities, new goals. And I'm just ready to show up differently than I ever have before. And I feel extremely peaceful about that.
Mm. That's just, I mean, I'm 100% behind you. I haven't even really thought about it, but hearing you talk about it and from what I've read and what I know, it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, we're not all going to be in the same place at the same time. And like you said, what works, like it might not have worked for you, but it might work for someone else. It really just depends on where you're at on your journey, right? But this is where you're at and you got to honor that. So good for you.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think some big things are going to happen when we show up without expectations in the same place on
mhm.
this platform, working on the goals that we have together. Because I know we've talked a ton about letting go of those expectations, about being open to opportunities. And I just think that looks incredible.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that's going to look like, it's going to be so good.
Well, it's exciting because, like I said, we've never done this
Yeah.
before. We've never walked this path. So how do we even know where it's going to lead us?
Yeah.
I'm open to everything. I'm going to step through every single door, and if there's a window cracked, I want to go through that a little bit too and check it out and see what's going
Just like
on.
reach your arm through the crack and like check
Yeah,
out the weather.
not creepy at
Yeah.
all.
No, not at all.
But yeah, no, I like the idea of just being open to just whatever the universe, whatever God, whatever the creator, whatever you call, just whatever happens and it happens perfectly the way it's supposed to. And I'm super excited. So knowing that, it just creates this huge excitement of stepping into the unknown because we don't
Yeah.
know. So I
Yeah.
love that.
And I think that leads into whether our why is strong enough.
mm, yeah.
And I don't know if you want to touch on that first, just on like how you feel about what that means.
Well, it's interesting to me because we had this conversation last night a little bit in our book club, and we were going over goals and what that looked like for everybody. And something came up, and where someone said, "Oh, I'm going to do this because I've tried and I haven't been able to do it, and I want to do it. It's on my list of things to do." And so the first thing that popped into my mind was why. Because we can want to do a lot of things, but the reality is if it's not a priority and if it's not important enough, you're not going to do it. That's just the cold, hard facts and truths. I've had other conversation with someone else that I've been talking to through Facebook. Same kind of, it's we do a lot of talking or looking at quotes or whatever, but we don't take the action because we don't have it in our hearts as something that we really want. We just see something that's happening, and not saying that this person that in our book club doesn't have her why for what she wants to do. But I just questioned it because it came to me and I felt inclined to. This other person, is sending me quotes. I'm like, well, that, like that's a really nice quote and stuff, but what are your actions? What are your steps? What's your why? Why are you going to do those things that you're going to do? I mean, we can talk till we're blue in the face, and a lot of us do without taking action.
Yeah. And it comes down to, you have to know what that why is, because I've heard from so many people recently, and even people that are in my boot camps, people that I've just had conversations, the thing that comes up a lot is struggling to find motivation or to keep it once you start. If you don't know what your why is, you are going to fail over and over and over again at showing up and consistently staying in it. You can be motivated by other people, but that motivation doesn't make you show up. That action is your action. If you have a why that this is the reason that I'm showing up, you're gonna keep showing up. You're gonna find the motivation, you're gonna find the energy, even if you're having those days where you don't want to do anything. If you know why you're showing up, you're gonna do it. If it's just a trend that you see, or your friends are doing it, or you watch a video on TikTok or whatever, social media is a huge thing. That's where a lot of inspiration comes from. You can be inspired to start something because it looks fun, but if you don't have a why behind it that's pushing you to actually show up and do the thing, then you're going to keep coming back to that place of asking yourself why you can't do it, or feeling like you're failing, or maybe feeling like you should just change and do something different.
Yeah. I think too that there's a certain amount of, we don't know what we don't know. So in a lot of cases where I'm talking to people and they're like, oh, I just don't know why, but I just can't do this. I just don't know why. I'm stuck and I just can't. And I've had so many I can't even say how many conversations I've had where I literally feel like, I'm like, okay, I hear you. And I know that you need to vent right now, but I can help. And the way I can help is through breakthrough. And then I offer that. And it's like people don't want to hear. They don't want to, people want a option out, but it ends up feeling like they're happy being victims. Because if you really wanted out and you really wanted the why and you really prioritized on that, you would push the boundary, you would figure it out. If someone came to you and said, Tamara, you're dying, here are the different options that you're going to go, and if one doesn't work, you're going to go to the next, because your instinct to survive is going to be so strong that you're going to keep moving through until you find something that can cure whatever you had. But it's just amazing to me when there's pain thresholds, right? And if something doesn't hit that pain threshold to like another level, hence the saying, hit rock bottom, that pain threshold is high. So people go after it then. But until it gets to that place, sometimes it's hard to watch, and sorry guys, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but it does get me fired up. And it's, Tamara and I were just talking and I was like, are you okay if I start laying down my truth, my facts, and if they work for you, that's amazing, that's great. And Tamara is going to lay her truth and her facts down, but let's not, there is no good way to go into a situation where you have created that world in whatever shape or form that looks like, and then play the victim. We own our power. Let's not pretend that we don't.
Yeah. And I think it's so important, like Dev talking about laying down her truth. Here's what we want you to know. If you are not okay with what we're saying, that's okay. It doesn't have to be for you. But these are the things I love hearing from other people, so that I can be like, oh, I felt that, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to use it. And maybe you're not there yet, and that's okay. But if you are, and you relate to something, maybe it's going to help dig your truths out that you're struggling to find words for. And I think we really just want to start being more raw and real and honest and speaking our truths and not hiding behind what is somebody else going to think to that's listening to this.
Common courtesies, so to speak.
Yeah. You know, we are here because we love people and we genuinely want to serve with the gifts that we have and help you tap in to the things we've been able to tap into because of things that we've heard that other people have shared, coming from this place of love and sharing their truths. It opened things up to us that we never understood before, just on getting real with ourselves, how to get real with ourselves, because we have to do that. We have to ask ourselves those hard questions, or we're not going to get to that place where we find our why and we figure out our word of the year and we have goals and we know how to get to that place. If we just keep going in circles of playing that victim of poor me, I just can't do this, life is too hard, things never work out, essentially you're going to just keep circling back to that same place. And so when we share these truths and we share these things that we're learning, it's in hopes that it's going to spark something within you to ask yourselves those hard questions.
Well, yeah, and there's different energies, right? Sometimes we're showing up in the healer, right? The nurturer, that kind of thing. And then what you just experienced from me is what you could call the warrior, or like Zeus energy is very like
straightforward,
in your face kind of thing. Because I just, like Tamara said, we love people and we want the best for everybody. And it's one of those things where we can sit down and just pretend like everything is okay, right? When someone comes to you and it's the same thing that they're bringing to your plate that they brought to your plate a year ago, but you're like, okay, but what are you doing to change that? What action? And then they can't answer you or choose to not answer you. That speaks to me. So I want everyone to know that you can change, that there are lots of things that can be done. There's so much help out there in this world. There's so many beautiful people that have so many gifts that are available to us. The only reason why we don't change is because we choose not to. And you cannot like me for saying that. That's my truth. So yeah, I don't know, like that's my heart, that's what I'm feeling passion, and it comes from a place of love, but it's the truth.
And I think it's important to recognize that when you are open to hearing the gifts that other people have, you're going to find your gifts.
Yeah, I love it. If you want to lead out with the affirmation.
Awesome. I know we could just keep going. So the affirmation I want you to repeat to yourself, I don't even care if you repeat it after me right now and that's it, or you write it down somewhere, is my heart and mind are open to the possibilities of the day.
Thank you so much.